Welcome to another episode of Rise and Reinvent. Today's guest is Rob Brown, CEO of CDR Global Inc., an IT company based in Oklahoma City. But Rob's path to leadership is anything but conventional. From dropping out of high school and battling personal adversity to becoming the visionary behind a thriving tech company, Rob's story is one of transformation, self-discovery, and resilience. In this powerful episode, Rob opens up about the defining moments of his life, from confronting childhood challenges, navigating addiction recovery, and surviving health scares, to learning the art of leadership through hard-earned experience. You'll hear how he built a business rooted in transparency, respect, and empathy, and why he's committed to sharing the rewards of success with the very people who helped him build it. Whether you're a leader in transition or someone who is searching for purpose in the face of setbacks, this conversation is a masterclass in owning your story, trusting your gut, and never giving up. Let's dive into my conversation with Rob Brown. Thank you. Today, I'm delighted to welcome Rob Brown to the Rise and Reinvent podcast. Rob is a visionary leader. He is currently the CEO of CDR Global Inc., which is an ITAD company in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Rob, welcome to the Rise and Reinvent podcast.
Thank you, Nicole. It's my pleasure, and I really appreciate the invite, and I look forward to just having a conversation.
Perfect. So, the way I like to start is always just learning more about you as an individual, not specifically your career, but starting with your upbringing and how that led you to become the person you are today. So, if you can define that in about 3 to 5 minutes, that would be great.
It's a lot. Okay. So both of my parents are currently deceased. They were married for 33 years and then were divorced. So my upbringing was my dad was a bit of an alcoholic. I don't mind sharing these things because I've dealt with this in my life, and so I'm okay with it. But my mom worked extremely hard. They both did. Dad had a bit of a drinking problem, and that kind of showed its ugly head a few years. And then, but back up a little bit. So when my mother met my dad, she had a son, and his name was Frankie, in the past tense, because Frankie passed away when he was 8. So Frankie was born with cystic fibrosis. And that in itself is a death sentence at that, back in the 70s. And so, there was a lot of my mom having to work 10, 12 hours a day. My dad, both worked the same amount of time. They had owned some stores at one time. Then we kind of lost that business. Then we moved and they started different careers. But, my upbringing was maybe middle class, a little bit less than that. My dad would always make comments of how he did without so his boys could have. And I really appreciate that. And then, of course, my kids are totally spoiled today. And because I think we want to try to do better for our children. And that can also lead into some other issues if they're not taught financial things correctly. If you just let them have what they want, can cause a lot of challenges with them expecting things as they get older. So, my upbringing was good. I wasn't the brightest pupil in school because I believe I had ADHD, was just undiagnosed. So I played sports, had fun. I got into high school, or got into, was it ninth grade, and then took English. And so English was obviously not my strong suit. And I failed English in ninth grade. Now, I don't recommend what I'm fixing to describe, but I don't recommend this for anyone. But in ninth grade, I'd failed a semester of English. And so my 11th grade year, the counselor got to me towards the end of that year and said, "Hey, we need to talk about how you're going to graduate next year." And I'm like, "Cool." And he started naming all the hours that I was going to have these classes. And he said, and then you have this credit of English that you have to take in seventh hour. And I'm like, "Wait a minute, seventh hour is for sports." He goes, "Yeah, you won't be playing sports next year." And so I took it at an opportunity to say I didn't need this institution. I didn't need an education. I was almost 18 at the time. And so I quit school. Now, I don't recommend that for anyone. It turned out for me. Unfortunately, I had to go through the school of hard knocks per se and learn things on the fly, or learn, learn things that you might learn in a business course or business degree that I never did get because I didn't even go to college. And so my upbringing was fairly decent. We lived in the country. We lived out by the lakes. We lived in town. So I was kind of a diverse background of people, places to live, different, we didn't have money, we had a little bit of money. And so it just, both sides of all that. We ended our housing career in the country at Empire America and had 5 acres, had us a horse, had a pond. So that was pretty cool. And then, a few years after I would have graduated, my mom divorced my father because he just was not a good husband. And my mom put up with that with 33 plus years. And so that's about that. And I've got a brother, my other brother. He's 4 years younger than me. His name's Sean. He works in the oil field. He's a consultant. He's done that for about 25 years.
Okay. Excellent. So, a few follow-up questions. So, how did your parents and your family respond to you dropping out of high school? And then how did that impact what you did from there?
So I was still living at home, and I don't recall him having a hard, fast rule that I either work or pay rent. He never asked me for any money. But I got messed up. I got hooked up with a young lady, which eventually I had my first daughter with, which I also don't recommend. So we had Haley at 18. But so I quit school. I worked. I had friends that we would cut firewood. We would do odd jobs. I'm never averse to work. So there was farmers that we would do fencing work for, lawns. And then again, we got a sweet deal with one of the men that owned one of the convenience stores in the country, had a bunch of land, and then we would cut wood for him, take our wood. So that kind of worked out. And as far as, I'm sure my parents weren't proud and happy about that. But at the end of the day, when you turn legal age, there's really nothing they can do. And so,
Hmm.
um, I had rules and regulations, and if I didn't make grades, he would take my car away from me and stuff like that. So there was punishment. I just, you know, was was a not so smart young man at the time. And I don't know if that answered your question because I'm kind of getting off track a
It
little bit.
did. No, that was great. So spoiler alert, you're now, and everyone knows, you're CEO of a company, right? So going from high school dropout to CEO of a major tech company is a big transition. And that is aligned with this podcast, right? It's all about transformation, reinvention, pivoting. So can you walk us through the period from dropping out of high school, getting into the workforce, being a hard worker? What happens next that gets you? What was that reinvention moment that made you say, you know what, this is not the life I want to live? I've got to do something bigger and better.
So after that, I was about 18. I went down a dark path. I don't know how much you want to discuss on your podcast, but I did end up going to treatment in 2000 for 6 months. And actually, I stayed 8 months. And then towards the end of your stay there, you get to go on what's called job search, or if you can find a job and gain employment, then you can continue to live at the treatment center in the not the dorm where the other residents would stay, but people that, they have a special dorm for us that will be working. So I got a job with a local company, Tom Pace. Tom Pace saw something in me that I obviously didn't see in myself and asked me if I would come to work for him when I graduated treatment, and I did. And started with him in July of 2000. Met two awesome individuals at that company, and then we soon left together in 2003, only because there had been some poor decisions made at that company. And then we were being bombarded by phone calls about where's our payment. Like there was things happening as a sales rep that I'm not in accounting at that time, so I had nothing to do with client payments. So it was kind of making us look bad. So we decided to give Tom another 6 months, and it didn't work out. So we left, started our company, and incorporated in January 13th of 2003 or 14th, one of those 2 days. And then subsequently, I had to buy Chris out in 2008 because he couldn't stay on the right path. And then eventually in 2003, I purchased the company wholly. But so, when you come out of treatment, I didn't have self-esteem. I had self-esteem issues. I did not understand what my value was. I did not understand I was good at what I do today, because you're beat down a lot. And so it just took years of working with Tom, starting my own business. And then I had two business partners that when you find a true, and I'm not like an Elon Musk visionary, but when you meet a visionary or a high functioning entrepreneur, other people around them sometimes can't see or understand what they're talking about, or like, hey, I think we need to do this, or I think we need to do that, which then comes across to some of those people as arrogance, or like I'm um, making decisions or wanting to do things without thinking about them because they didn't understand me. And also, I didn't understand my ability until fast forward to 2017. We had taken some assessments internally, and it showed that should be the one leading the company. Well, unfortunately, my business partner at the time didn't see it that way. And so we implemented an individual into the COO seat to run our company, which was not the best decision. But it's all worked out. I completely bought the company in 2023, and now I can make all the decisions and do what I want to do the way I want to do it. And that in itself leads me to be more competent when I know that I've made the right decision, or you make decisions and then you have employees say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't agree with your decision initially, but now that it's run its course, you made the absolute right decision. How do you see those things? And I'm like, I don't know. That's the gift that God gave me. And I don't, so when my gut or my intuition tells me something, Nicole, I take action because I'm right. And I don't mean to sound unhumble, but my intuition is right more than it is wrong. So for me to not take that action, I'm going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. And just like terminating employees, which is one of the hardest things to do. And, Elon Musk was asked this question, I think, when he was in Saudi Arabia or in the Middle East. One of the gentlemen asked him, "What, as a CEO, what's your hardest part of your job?" And he said, terminating people. He said, until the day that you hear that employee talk about that doctor that had to come tell that parent your child's not going to live. That's a tough job. So because I think a CEO or a leader must have empathy for human beings and must be able to understand that emotional part of the human aspect. For example, my CFO, he's black and white. He's not an emotional guy. He goes, here's the numbers, here's how it's going to be, here's what we need to do. You make the decision, Rob. It's your company. And his job is to protect me and the organization. But I mean, you need people like that, but you also need people that can feel and understand the employees, because I drive the culture for our company, and our culture is amazing because I treat people the way I want to be treated, and we treat our clients the way we want to be treated.
What really intrigues me is the level of confidence, the level of gut, going with your gut and how that's gotten you this far. And so a lot of times in uncertain situations, people sort of, it's fight or flight,
Mhm.
right? Versus I'm going to take this by the horns and I'm going to figure out how to make this a viable, successful company.
Right.
So, do you have anything to add around that transition? Like, did you take learnings from your work with Tom Pace and say, okay, this is how he led, but I'm going to do it differently? Did you take learnings from your other business partners? Like, how did you get that confidence, even though, you didn't have the typical credentials of a CEO?
Just, I guess it's again trial and error and just being able to make decisions. Now, when Damien and I were just 50-50 after we had bought Chris out, like I was confident in some of the decisions I was on a lot of the decisions I was making, but as an overall, let's get a loan or let's borrow money or let's get growth capital or let's get private equity, none of those things would be possible. A, because one of us didn't understand that. I'm just going to be very polite about what I'm saying, and
Mhm.
name went to the carpet. But now that it's just me, I can make those decisions. And it's not always good to borrow money. It's not always good to bring in private equity. But I've been through a couple of potential acquisitions, a couple of mergers, so I understand how it works and I understand what their game is. And so when I'm ready for an exit strategy, my company will be at my terms, my time, not someone else. But it's just, Nicole, I think, again, when you make a decision and you have people close to you and they question that decision, and then 2 or 3 months down the road, they're like, "Oh my gosh, man, you nailed it. Like, how did you know that?" And I can just tell. I don't know. Like I said, God gave me a gift, and it's just probably been in the last 5 years that I understand how to hone in on that and understand like with you, I get opportunities to get with people and I don't always take them. So there was just something within you and your you as Nicole, as we had our first conversation, I missed the first meeting, I whatever, and you didn't belittle me, you weren't upset. And so we had our call. It was I had a good feel with you, and you're just a genuine person, right? And so I think I'm pretty good at that. I get fooled. Right. But shame on you the first time and shame on me the second time. Right. So like that first time when you burn me really bad, we're done. Just like someone was asking me, hey, do we have any previous employees that we might want to bring back? And I said, absolutely not. And so here's a perfect example of how I operate. My wife and here at the house one day, and we had some stuff delivered. We had two men come in, set it up. Some things happened. There was an opportunity for this gentleman to display how good and competent he was, and he handled the situation like a pro. And I told my wife, I want to hire that guy. Only him representing our company on the client side, on the driver side. That's who I want to be part of face of our company. Well, I get this man onboarded, and everything works great. And I'm big on, if I'm gonna help you, please help me. And my biggest thing is, if when I hire someone in that interview process, I ask them a few questions, and one of them is, are you going to give your current employer 2 weeks notice? And if they say no, I'll say this interview is over. I'm not interested. I'm going to move on because I want the same respect.
Mhm.
And I understand if you're not going to give them 2 weeks, you're not going to do it to me. Well, this individual had been wanting to go to trade school or whatever and came to us on a Tuesday. Yeah, I can't give you 2 weeks. I'm leaving on Friday. I'm like, great. Had my director get his termination, his resignation, and I terminated him on the spot because there's no sense, right? For me, it's just a respect thing. And I think one of the big things with men in general, if I could get this out there, is I think one of the biggest things that will upset a male more than anything is disrespect.
Mhm.
And it does, and all I want is you to respect me and respect our relationship. And I'm not saying suck up to me. I'm not saying any of those things. Just the respect. Hey, this happened, that happened. The other thing is, if we're not going to communicate directly and quickly with the client when there's a mistake, then I can't use that individual because when a mistake is made and we're not communicating, the wheels in the client's head's turning. They got all these things going on that could be going on wrong, and there's just a lack
Mhm.
of communication, right? And so I find that the way that I lead is the way that I want things to happen to me. Another example. I have one of my people from the sales team call me and say, hey, so we were doing a deal with a company and his name's Ryan. And then I get a phone call and she says, hey, Ryan wanted you to call him, wants to talk to you. And I'm not going to give him your cell phone. I said, great, give me his number. It wasn't Ryan. So I make the phone call and a female answers and it's a sales call. So she starts in about Zoom this, Zoom that. And I'm driving and I'm trying to be very patient, very kind. And she kept on and I was like, listen, I know you're in a sales tactic right here. And so I'm going to be very clear with you. You're not listening to me. If you ask me one more time to give you a date for a calendar meeting, we'll never communicate again. And she did it again. And I said, I'm going to end this conversation and I'll never communicate with him again. So it's just a simple respect thing that I think a lot of men, you can understand why a man might be upset or because women are different. Men and women are completely different beasts, different humans. We don't think like women and women don't think like men. We both have our place and we both have opportunities to make each other great, right? We can't do it without women and women can't do it without men. So that's what I'm going to say. I love men and women together as, as human beings, but we're just different. And I just keep seeing this over and over when a male is upset. It's a lack of disrespect. That's it. It's just it. It's it. I mean,
Uh,
it's very
I would
simple.
I would say it applies to women as well. It just depends on the woman,
Right.
honestly, because I pride myself on being a woman of my word. So if I tell you I'm going to show up or I'm going to be there, I show up. And if I can't show up, I let you know as soon as I can that
Right.
it didn't happen. And so for me, that is a level of respect that I expect from others, right? If you can't make it, don't ghost me. Don't not show up and just say, oh, I'll get in touch with her later. Just tell me so I can plan my day because time is one of the most important things you have. Um, as a leader, I'm sure as a CEO, it's important to you as well.
It
So
can be.
someone wasting your time and being disrespectful is not great. And I feel the same way.
Or having to deal, and a lot of salespeople can be highly emotional, especially the men, believe it or not, or I just don't know, it's highly emotional. Maybe a little childish. I don't know the right term. I'm dealing with a few instances right now, and it's like I get to the point where it's like, okay, I don't have time for this because I don't act this way.
Hmm.
But I try to say, is there value in the individual? Are they bringing value to the organization? Are they bringing value to the client? How do I work around this person's deficiencies? And I think we talked about this on our initial call. So I had this one gentleman one time, dude, it would irk me to him. I would just get cringy every time he'd send an email because he's going to be misspelled, wrong word. I don't know what was about this guy. Clients loved him. But when we start having to do the paperwork, you have to do these settlements for clients at the end of the month. Like this just killed his time. So I'm like, okay, what a genius idea. We'll get a support staff. Now we'll support the whole team. So an executive assistant can do all of this manual, busy work because I want the rep out killing the deal, right? I want them out doing what they do best. And if I get bogged down with paperwork and stuff, it does the same thing to me. I don't like it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Slow me down. And so I try to when the person brings value, I want to support that person, right? I don't like bringing people in, getting rid of them because it's just like, we will if we have to, but you spend a lot of time and energy up front onboarding people to then just throw them away because they have some idiosyncrasies that you don't like, right?
Hmm.
It's never my way or the highway. I don't like yes men, yes people at all. I want you to challenge me, push back. And again, at the end of the day, it's my decision to do what we're going to do what we need to do. But I do want to listen to your opinion because that's why you're on my team. Right? You're on my team
Absolutely.
because you have bring value.
So that leads me to my next question, which is how do you decide whether a risk aligns with your purpose or is it just a distraction? Right. So when you're thinking about a risk, hey, this is risky. This person might turn out to be a dud, or this project, or this client might not work out because of their culture and they're misaligned, their values don't align. Whatever risk you're taking, selling, buying the shares
Mhm.
from your former business partners is a risk. So
Oh,
how do
that
you
is
decide this aligns with my vision or my purpose versus, this is a distraction and this won't be a good risk for me?
that's a great question. So the company had kind of hit a rough spot back in November of 2022. And I had everybody around me saying, I cannot believe you're going to try to buy him out. How can you afford this? What if it fails? I'm like, here's the deal. It's not going anywhere right now with us together. The only thing I can see is up. And if I'm going to file bankruptcy, great, let me have the whole thing, right? And so to me, I believe in the company. I believe in the people that will work there. I believe in the clients that we already have. Like we already have a great book of business, right? It just was mismanaged. There were some things out of control. I had some wrong people in places that I didn't follow up at times on metrics that I needed to. So I had to come in November of 2022. I terminated my COO. I terminated my production manager. The finance guy had already been terminated. I terminated the head of HR and eventually terminated the second in command at HR and then figured it out myself. So these are huge decisions that people have to make. And I could not be, and not to mention the following year, I had multiple surgeries, still going through all that nonsense. And so it was, I don't know, Nicole. It's just, I believe in what I'm doing and I believe in my people. And I just need a little bit of runway to make it happen. And so I got a great banker. We have great vendors. We have great partners. Um, and don't sit here and think that I didn't second guess myself sometimes. And then I got my wife over here going, babe, you're great. You can do this. You got it. And just a little bit of cheerleading. And so then I get to cheerlead
Hmm.
her career because there's some things going on in corporate America when someone gets up to 23, 24 years,
Hmm.
there's some things going on that shouldn't be going on. And she's been nothing but a great employee. So that really irks me and I don't treat people that way. So I'm not going to onboard someone just to terminate them in a few months. Now, I have had people onboarded going down the process where everything's rocking. And then, like you said, I figure out their values don't align when I thought they did. And that termination
Hmm.
needs to be swift.
Hmm.
I don't want
Okay.
a cancer in my organization, in my home, in my life. Drama. Um, my wife and I don't subscribe to that anymore. It destroys you. It destroys your time. And then you're
Mhm.
always thinking about this nonsense drama that's going on that's created by other people. Had a birthday party for my 2-year-old grandson, and my son and I in that relationship don't have anything to do with one another. I was very uncomfortable there. Felt very out of place, even though we know all the people there. It was just, I could just feel the contentiousness with him, his mother. I just didn't feel, I just felt overwhelmed with anxiety, but I have to suck it up. I have to interact with other people that are there. I'm there for my grandson, and that's all that's about. But some people can't do that. That is
Some
very
people
hard. It
do
is
that.
very hard to do that
It is.
because I don't mind confrontation. I'm not scared of it. I'm an aggressive individual when I need to be. I'm high energy, if you can already tell. And I'm a big guy. I'm 6'3", 235, so I can be intimidating. Obviously, people tell me it's not, but I don't think about that. And I don't ever want to scare someone. That's not my thing. But I'm straight with you. And if I were to hire you, this is how I operate. This is who I am. I want you to communicate with me, and we don't have any problems. But when you don't communicate or you act like a child, I don't have time for that, man. We're all adults. I'm paying you. Come on. I don't Holding people's hands in a job is not something I want to do these days. I don't mind mentoring, teaching, helping, being on calls, helping close deals. I love all of that, but I cannot deal with the child attitude. Just can't do it.
It sounds to me like you also focus on the long term, not just the moment. Like the situation you mentioned with your grandson and your son. Even though right now there's no connection there, think about, when your grandson sees the pictures, knowing that his grandfather was there and all of those things. And so not only do you think about the risk of today, you're also thinking about, if I take this risk today, how does it impact the long term? And that's both, it sounds like, in business as well as in personal. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. And yeah, it's challenging, and I get it. I cry sometimes. My feelings are hurt at times, and I wish the relationships were better. But, at the end of the day, when we reach 18, 19, 20 years old, we are adults. We are responsible for our actions. We're obviously responsible before them, but I'll give them the benefit. And then after that, like Nicole, I can't force someone to have a relationship with me. Something my wife taught me 15 years ago. I don't have social media. I just have LinkedIn, and then I have X for work. I don't have none of the other stuff. And I used to banter, all that nonsense. And it's just a waste of time. And she's like, why do you spend so much time with all these pictures and stuff? And this is for my family. She goes, well, don't you think if your family was really interested, they would be a more part of your life? And I was like, she's right. I didn't like it. It had ticked me off, but as the years go by, I see what she's saying. And those that want to have a relationship with me is the ones I'm going to spend time with. And those are the ones I'm going to invest my time in. Just
That's
because
the
you may
other
be
thing.
related to me, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I'm sad to say, but if we're not connected, don't have a relationship, okay. I mean, I don't want anything bad to happen to you, but I'm not about to go out of my way.
Yeah. It sounds like your wife, having a partner that supports you and you supporting, is also an important part of your journey, has been, right? You're not doing it completely alone. You have
Um,
a partner that
no, no,
helps drive and motivate you
I couldn't
along.
do it. I'm gonna start crying, but I couldn't do this without my wife, right? Like my wife has been there through some of the most. I mean, we're about to lose everything in 2022. I don't tell people this. My employees don't need to know this. I hold all of this with me. I don't bring this to nobody. I'll shoulder it. But I almost lost everything. It was very close. But like you said, I don't have quit in me. I understand the long play. I understand the industry we're in. And so I'm not going to give up much information, but our industry is making a change and a lot of people don't see it. And we're already on top of it. And we're already on that change, and it's showing in the things that are happening positively for our company. And I don't take all the credit for that, because someone might give me an idea or someone might say, hey, what about this? I can take it and capitalize on it like nobody's business. I may not always have the original thought, but I think for me, collaboration is one of the most important, one of the most crucial things you can do in a business. And it could be at the water cooler, it could be in the hallway. I'm not saying have meetings all day long. I'm just saying, hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? Let's have some collaboration. What about this? What about, just talking, right? And meetings can get boring. But meetings can also be helpful, right? I know some of the big CEOs today, like, Elon Musk will talk about, I hate meetings. Well, I don't have a massive team like he does, right? And if we were to be really serious and to the point, he doesn't do all this stuff himself anyway. He has
Right.
a massive team that is extreme. And I learned this at a conference. So one of his previous second in commands, I believe, sits on a board of this company. And he's like, Elon only talks about this particular individual when he does speak. And this is the man that helped him develop everything, right? I think a CEO or like an Elon or like Bill Gates or Amazon,
Or Zuckerberg or
they don't do it themselves, right? They can manage at a high level and move the pieces
Mhm.
and see it, but you have to have other people that can make a decision because Mark, all these CEOs, they can't be in every single meeting and make every single decision. And I
Right.
think that's the other key that has helped me in the last few years is I've got more competent people in higher level, my CFO, my director of operations. Like these people come from the ITAD industry. They come from the space that we're in. They understand it. We were able to bring some people from their previous company over that went out of business that has been in business as long as I have in the same town. And they went out of business. So we're doing something right. We've continued to hold on to all of our clients. And I just believe in transparency and honesty. That's it. I mean, if my contract is out of balance, I go to that client and you know, I just say, here's the deal. I've been dealing with you for 10 years. This contract is out of balance. It's not working for me. Obviously, it's working great for you. If you want to continue to have a great relationship and the service that we provide, I have to up some of my service fees.
Hmm.
Great, send it on over. We'll get it to legal and be done. We've converted
Hmm.
all of our contracts over to where it's up to date. Some of them hadn't even been addressed since 2017. You have COVID, which we can't use that excuse anymore, but COVID was horrible. Inflation was horrible. For a few of those contracts, I never adjusted them. They have to be adjusted now. It's just, I mean,
Hmm.
and
Right.
when you're like, okay, did you adjust for any of this in your services? Obviously they did. It's just communication. It's just communication, but I think a lot of times reps or salespeople will get in fear. Max, quit. Will get in fear to have to maybe be negative to a client or tell a client no. They can be told no, just like anyone else, right? They're human beings. They get it.
Yeah,
Communication is
absolutely.
key. I'm going to say it, communication. It's key.
Okay.
Key. And in
What
any
is,
marriage, friendship, doesn't matter. I mean, my wife and I know every single thing about each other. Everything. She knows my I mean, everything about me. So I just
okay.
believe in transparency.
So this might align with what the answer you just gave, but what would you say is one unexpected lesson in your journey, and what did it teach you?
Wow, I have to think about that. Probably my surgeries. So I rescued Max, my dog, in 2022. Then in August, September 1st, or August, September, I think it was September 1st, 2023, I had surgery. We won't go into that what it was about. It's a man thing, and I got in a massive infection. I didn't even make it to my next follow-up appointment because I was in so much pain and so swollen. We take pictures, get online. He goes, "Dude, you need to come see me." So we go in, and he says, "Hey, Rob, I hate to tell you this, but you have an infection." I'm like, "Okay, give me some antibiotics." He goes, "Doesn't work like that." He goes, "When you do implants or you put something foreign in someone's body, the infection goes to that implant or that device and then the infection forms a sac around it so blood flow doesn't get there. Most people don't understand that, nor did I. And so he goes, we have to take everything out, we have to clean you out, and we have to put some different product in. So then I have to have a PICC line, then I have to have antibiotics every 12 hours. Did that for like 3 or 4 months. I'm probably near death. One of my logistics manager, Joe, I've known him for over 10 years. After it was all said and done, he said, "Man, I literally thought you were going to die." You were white as a ghost, but all I could do is get him to go to work, right? So anyway, Max is by my side. He's helping me. He's loving on me. He's being there for me. And then my final surgery was December last year. Went to a specialist in Dallas. Amazing. Everything's done, and now I've fully healed. But for a man, that was probably one of the most, I don't even know the word. Like most men don't talk about their problems, right? And they'll just live with it. And if
Mm-hmm.
I can say anything to any man, I don't care what sexual, male parts, if you have issues, please go see a specialist. Please go get looked at. Please don't let it go. Please just don't do that. And so I think, that showed fortitude in me being able to go to work when I probably shouldn't have been, because who else is going to do it? Um,
Mm-hmm.
got more bonding with my dog that I rescued. So he and I are just inseparable. Now he goes every place with me, work, all of it. Doctors, dentists, he goes everywhere. I don't know if I answered your question, but it's like that gave me a whole new lease on life. And, I was talking to the infectious disease specialist and I said, hey, if you were a betting person and I was your husband and we were going to do this surgery again, how confident would you be to go to Vegas and bet $1 million that I wouldn't get another infection? She says, I'd bet that all day long because you're a very unlucky individual. Based on your health, all that, you should have gotten sick. But I did. I got sick
Mm-hmm.
the second surgery too, and that's why I chose to go out of state. So Max, stop. Sorry, Nicole. He's wanting
That's
to,
okay.
but so that just, my wife was there with me and never spoke anything negative. Was always supportive. Because as a man, sometimes these things affect your confidence. Your women don't get it; they don't deal with it, and I don't deal with women issues. So, like, what makes you feel insecure, or what makes you feel like not sexy or beautiful or whatever? I don't deal with that. But I
Yeah.
need, but I need to have empathy because
Mm-hmm.
I know when my wife struggles. She's going through her, and she'll kill me if I say this, but she's going through her life, 50 something years. You know what I'm talking about? She's starting her,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes.
got a fan over here by the chair, got a big fan in my bedroom because she's hot all the time.
Yes.
But I see that she's miserable. I see that. And she gained a lot of weight. So she's now rectified that. She's getting that under control. But all I can do is support her because it's not
Yes.
happening to me. And
But
I know
having
it's frustrating
support
to be like,
for her and for you has been
yeah,
so important.
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's something that I know a lot of other couples that we know don't maybe get that. And so, if I could just speak to anyone that listens to this, if you're married and you have a decent marriage, I would just say communication, transparency. I mean, I could go full deeper and had to take a polygraph years ago. So I have a baseline with my wife. And if she ever feels unsafe, she can ask me to go have another polygraph test. You can choose to keep this or take it out. But that's what I decided because I want full transparency, right? I want to be on the right side with my wife. I want to be 100%. Here's my nonsense. It's out there. It's over. We're done, right? It's done. And so either you keep living in that lie or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on a bed praying in Montana that my wife would not leave me. And we get through that part of our life in 2019, and it's amazing.
My final question for you is when you reflect on your journey, what legacy do you hope to leave?
Mm. I've been so busy building, I haven't even had time to think about that. Um, that I was a stand-up person and just did what he said he was going to do and was dependable. And um, I don't judge. I have a friend that he and his wife have a lot of trouble from time to time. They're quite a bit younger than me. He's in his 40s, she's in her 30s, and there's just a lot of immaturity on the other person's side. And so I just continue to he loves her, he's patient, and now he's seeing because he's patient. And I think I was telling you I read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and he talks about consciousness and the pain body. And so when you're in a conversation with an individual and that individual gets irate or you can see that energy changing, that's their pain body taking over. And when that pain body takes over, there is no talking to them. There is no, it's too late. And so what generally happens is the other person's pain body takes over. And so now both pain bodies are arguing. Well, what he's done a really good job of is backing away from that and not engaging. And I do the same with my wife. If my wife gets upset or maybe she's having a bad day or something's happening and I can tell this has absolutely nothing to do with me, I just say, I love you. I know whatever's going on. Can I do something for you? Can I help you? And then she will then be like, oh, I'm sorry. Because she has stressors at work.
Hmm.
Stressors with her boss, her partner, her work partner, like we all do. And so
Hmm.
I'm really good at not having to bring it home if I don't need to. But I always listen to her. I think that's one thing a man can do in a marriage is not, and that's the other thing I've learned, Nicole. Like when my wife comes home and starts talking to me, it ain't about Rob, go fix it. Because that's what Rob does. Rob will go fix anything. I'll fix your problem,
Hmm.
fix her problem,
Hmm.
I'll do all of that. And it's like, that's not what she wants. She just wants to be heard, let it out, let it go, and then it doesn't own her. So that's years of, if I could shortcut for people, I don't know that it's the happy wife, happy life thing as much as people say that is. I just think good communication and letting your wife vent and ask her, do you need me to give you, are you looking for a solution? And she'll tell me yes or no. And when she says yes, I give her the solution. When she says no, I'm like, ask for the solution. If she doesn't. So, but and the other thing about this is the legacy. God, you got me thinking. I don't know. We help people. I mean, we just do things naturally, and so I don't know what legacy will be left. Um, I'm hoping the legacy is enough that I'll be able to do well enough eventually to sell my company that my grandkids don't have to work. But I don't. I mean, I'm working on that. So that would be a legacy, ultimate legacy. Everybody would want to leave their family is, a financial stability and then things set up where they don't spend it. The other legacy I want to leave, and I'm going to share this on your podcast because I don't know how many other visionary CEOs do this, but when it comes time to exit my company, I'm going to take 25% of the proceeds and gift it to the rest of the people that in our organization that have gotten us here. And so there's some tax strategies and tax ways I can do that, which will benefit them, benefit me. So basically what you can do is say, hey, I'm just going to make up some numbers. Let's just say you sold for 50 million, but you want to give 20 million to these people, right? Well, A,
Hmm.
you're going to have to pay taxes on 30. And instead of them paying a W-2 wage, I'm going to give them stock. And then that stock, so they'll just pay capital gains on their portion. So there's some, and then that's what I want to do. And so I want to take care of the people that have helped me, that have gutted through it, that have maybe at one time in our career, we couldn't give raises. Now we're giving raises, right? Like, and have been a consistent part of our company because they trust me. They understand the vision. They see where we're going. And it's not for everybody. Sometimes,
Hmm.
times, right? But that doesn't mean tough times do not last forever. It's just,
Absolutely. So if I could summarize, it would be I heard throughout this entire conversation, being a stand-up guy, which you have shown many, many times that you are. The other thing is communication, being a great communicator and having that as part of your legacy. And it's something that it sounds like was a learned skill over time. And then taking care of people, so those are all great values and great legacies to remember you by. So I want to just thank you for this conversation. It has been really insightful. I've been inspired by it. I'm sure others, and I hope others who are listening are also inspired by this conversation. I thank you for your time, and I wish you continued success with CDR Global Inc. and within your personal life.
Thank you. I'm going to have Max sign us off. Max, tell me. Tell Nicole bye. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. Tell me. There we go. Did you hear him?
Yes.
Tell me.
Goodbye,
Tell me.
Max.
Say bye. Okay. Hey, Max.
Bye bye.